Hey everyone, it's Ivan with kitbadger.com, here to bring you a gear review, and today we're going to take a look at a couple different multi-tools and some of their features. About 20 plus years ago, Leatherman kind of kicked this whole thing off. Before that, we had Swiss Army knives, a bunch of different things you could fold out. They got thicker and thicker with the more things they had in them. And then Leatherman came along and made a multi-tool, which the big thing it hinged on was the idea of having pliers in there, which is pretty cool. Always having a set of pliers on you. One thing I will say, this is I think one of the first gin I got as a birthday present when I was still in high school. And with this first gin, nice and sleek, one of the big drawbacks I will say, having used this a fair amount, is these pieces, this metal here on either side of this handle, are actually fairly sharp. So when you want to really clamp down on something, it ends up biting into your hands. Pretty much every model since then has addressed this. And of course, seeing hard use, loaning it to people. At one point, someone tried to use my file as a pry bar, busted that thing in half. But this is kind of the first multi-tool I had, and a lot of pretty cool functions, and got a lot of use out of it, and since then, ended up going on to other tools. The next multi-tool I ended up with was this Gerber. Thing I really liked about this, I've had this probably since 98, 99, back when I was in the Marine Corps. Probably got in like 99. Took it to Afghanistan with me. Best feature is being able to whip those pliers out. Chances are when you realize you need pliers, you're already knee deep in some project. So rather than having to let go of whatever you were doing, you can pull this thing out, boom, whip the pliers out, grab whatever you need, do stuff like that. That I find really nice about this Gerber multi-tool. With that, you kind of have the same fare in most multi-tools, but the one thing I have really appreciated about this one in particular is this saw blade. I think it's probably carbide or something. It'll cut through anything, cut through metal, cut through plastic, pretty much any material. And I've definitely used it for things probably beyond its scope. At one point I was cutting through this big metal pipe because I was installing a pull-up bar and I didn't have a hacksaw. And ultimately I got about a quarter of the way through and then did a kind of finance deduced study, and I was like, okay, how much time is this going to take? And I was like, all right, screw it. Went to the hardware store, bought a hacksaw, came home, project went a lot faster, but started it with this. I have used it for other places and times when a hacksaw wasn't available and I couldn't just run down to the store and buy one, and it might take a while, but it'll cut through pretty much anything. And that is actually a really handy feature I have found to use on a multi-tool. The last multi-tool I've ended up with has been this Wingman by Leatherman. Overseas on a contract, one of our team leads went into our supply closet. I'm pretty sure these were slated for someone other than us. Grabbed a big stack of them, came out. It was Christmas. He's like, hey, Merry Christmas. I was like, cool, all right. Thank you, taxpayers. But the one feature I do like about this is the spring they have in here. So I don't have to manipulate this open as well as closed. I can just go in, grab whatever I need, use these however I would my pliers. The other feature that's actually pretty nice on this is when this is all closed up, you can actually manipulate, if I can find it, there we go. You can actually manipulate one-handed the blade on this. So while most people do carry a knife outside of a multi-tool, if you need to, you can open this up, and there's serration here, which is really cool because I've yet to find a knife on a multi-tool that is a really good knife. So when this invariably gets dull, you can still saw through things with the serration, and it has a little liner lock, pretty cool. But this is kind of the last one I've had, and it's doing pretty good for me. What can you do with these multi-tools? Ultimately, limited by imagination. I've used them for any number of tasks that have came up where I didn't have access to that specific tool. I remember at one point in Afghanistan, already made it out to the range, did not want to go all the way back to the team room to try and dig through a pile of broken staplers. So I ended up with the knife from this jammed into the wood, holding the IPSC target, and my pocket knife jammed into the wood, holding the other side of the IPSC target, so I could shoot that day. Saved me a trip back, worked out. Whatever you want to do with these guys. The blade, this kind of multi-purpose blade in this, I've actually found a lot of uses for when I don't have a hacksaw in my back pocket. That's been pretty handy. But what are these actually good at? nothing. These aren't the tool you're gonna grab for any task, given the opportunity for the right tool for the right job. Not gonna grab this to open a can. I'll grab a can opener. Not gonna grab this over a Phillips head screwdriver. I'd rather use that. Rather use a good set of pliers, good set of wire cutters, good pocket knife. Rather use any of those tools other than these if given the opportunity. But when you can't carry those tools, these come in handy. And that's why I end up having one in different bags where I can't carry those other tools. Having said that, be realistic as far as what you need, mission specific maybe, in that this isn't the right tool for the job. There's no job out there where it's like, oh, you know what that needs? That needs a multi-tool. And you'll have ones kind of tailored towards specific things, like, hey, this one has a special tool for cleaning carbon off a bolt. Like, oh, you mean like the can opener or anything else in there? I mean, you can use whatever for most of the stuff that the things are marketed towards. If you are gonna get one, by all means, find something that does have tools that maybe you need more than others, but also be realistic of what you can accomplish versus what you can accomplish. For example, with this guy right here, with that multi-purpose saw that you can cut through metal with, there's nothing on these that I can do that with. Like, arguably a file, you'll be there forever, but that is actually a really cool feature that's pretty handy. Saw that you can cut through metal and any other material, like, that's something worth having in your back pocket, because you probably don't have a hacksaw. So keep that in mind, I guess, when you're looking into purchasing a multi-tool, because they are handy to have, but if you really do need something, say you know you're gonna be needing some actual needle nose pliers, throw those in your kit bag, like shove them in some MOLLE on your kit, whatever it may be. Take the tool specific to what you need, and then throw one of these in there for anything that comes up unexpected that you're not sure what you need. A feature I would actually really like to see on a multi-tool is a pry bar. Even if it was something to where it slid about halfway up, so half of it's encapsulated in the handle just for leverage purposes. And yeah, a little pry bar. Always trying to pry something. Usually end up with a tool that isn't meant for it, the screwdriver blade, something like that, or a knife tip, definitely bent those. My cousin broke my file in half trying to pry something with this guy. Pry bar would be really handy. And you could replace something like the scissors, like, cool, scissors, we can have craft time in the field. You already have a knife blade, probably a second knife. Anything you can use scissors for, you can obviously use a knife for, plus you probably have trauma shears anyway. Pry bar would be pretty cool in these. Multi-tools, not good for anything in particular, but they can get you out of a bind. So I continue to have them around, one in the glove box, backpacks, on my gear. They do come in handy. As always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.